Welcome to the January edition of Innovation Insights. I have been looking forward to this edition for a year now because I get a chance to introduce you to Mathew Neville, our new CEO, who we have all been praying for a year now. You are the answer to prayer. No pressure, but we're delighted that you are here, Mathew. Such a treat.
Well, thank you. Thanks. And I should say as well how glad I am to be here. What an answer to prayer it is for me to be here as well. So yeah, so thankful.
Brilliant. Tell us a little bit about your family.
So I'm married to Kathy. We've been married for over 20 years. We have 3 children. Jack, who is 21. He lives here in London. He works for a children's charity. Our daughter Rosie is 17. Our son Harry is 14. They're both in exam years here in the UK.
Oh, busy years.
Yeah.
Give us a quick glimpse on your work history. What have you done before coming here?
So I'll try and keep it as brief as possible. So post-university, worked very quick amount of time in the city, in banking. I then moved into the dot-com, through the dot-com boom years here in the UK. I worked largely in corporate finance and mergers acquisitions work. I worked for a small company. There were 14 of us. We then quickly grew. We were acquired by France Telecom and we merged with Orange. I was fortunate enough to be sponsored by Orange through an MBA program. I used that to transition from corporate finance into marketing, and then worked in marketing in Orange for a period of time. As my wife and I at this time were also discovering our faith, we were drawn to faith through the marriage course. Maybe I'll say a bit more about that in a minute. And then trying to work out, okay, what does that mean between the hours of 9 to 5? I'm sure the same question that many people here and many of you will have worked out as well. And so worked for World Vision, and I was with World Vision for about 10 years, just under 10 years. Initially in marketing in the UK operation, I led our fundraising, marketing, communications teams, and then leading our marketing work globally across our offices for World Vision. So
much for us to learn from. Tell us, a bit, you've touched on your Alpha story. Tell us your experience of Alpha in the marriage courses. So my wife and I we initially did Alpha about 20 years ago, watching it on VHS tapes in someone's living room. And then, as I said, we did the church course, the marriage course, and it was really the marriage course that drew us in to the church and connected us to our local church. Came at a really important time for us in our marriage. And it was a real blessing to us. So it was great for me to meet Nikki and Silla Lee a little while ago and to go do that. So yeah, it's been wonderful. Fantastic. Laying the scenes for the journey that brought you here today.
Yeah, absolutely.
When I think about World Vision, I just think about how many countries it is around the world. Tell us a glimpse of the size, the scope, and how many places have you had a chance to go and visit with them?
Yeah, well, World Vision is this amazing organisation that has such a special place in my heart in particular. So we work in just over 100 countries. There are 45,000 staff globally in World Vision. We have just under $3 billion of fundraising of income each year, which makes World Vision an amazing organisation. And we fundraise in just over 20 countries globally. I've been incredibly fortunate in my time in World Vision to have visited many of the countries that you guys work in, certainly all of the regions that you work in. And it's been a really privileged time for me.
What are the key kind of features of building blocks that you want to be looking at in this coming year?
Sure, well I think it's fairly common for a chief exec to lay out a 90-day plan or a 100-day plan or something like that. And so I think for me there are 5 aspects of that, 5 areas where I'm really keen to learn, to listen, to pray through and to gain advice on. So advice from all of you, advice from everybody here. And so I'll quickly run through those 5 areas and love to go into those in more detail in the future. Number 1 is governance. How do we ensure that we have the very best governance structures globally that minimise our risk and maximise our productivity? What level of things do we need to hold here in London? What things do we need to invest in and to grow in different regions? So number 1 is governance. Number 2 is funding. So how do we grow our funding base? How do we access new forms of funding, new donors, and how do we ensure that our funding is on a more sustainable and surer footing globally? And how do we work with each of you to achieve that? Number 3 is marketing and digital, which really means how do we give amazing experiences to our core audiences around the various different Alpha ministries. Number 4 then is a question around our vision, our goals and our objectives. Where are we going? What does that look? What does success look like for this organisation, and how will we know that we're getting there? What measurement systems do we have in place? And then lastly is structure and culture. How do we be the best us more often? Us on our very best day, what does that look like, and how do we ensure that we have the very best culture to achieve that? Culture eats strategy for breakfast, so ultimately it all comes down to that and our ability to do that well. So there are 5 areas that I'm keen to listen about, learn on, pray through, gain as much advice from some of you as possible.
That makes me very excited for not just the next 100 days, but the next year ahead. Thank you so much, Matthew.
Thank you.
Lots of love to all of you. Look forward to seeing you again soon. That's us from here in London, and with Matthew having joined us day 3 now. Lots of love.
Great. Thank you. I'll look forward to meeting you soon.